Hey everyone, and welcome back to Citywide Blackout, your home for music, movies, and more. I'm your host, Max Bowen. Well, a couple weeks ago, one of my favorite events, the Rhode Island Author Expo, saw its big return to an in-person format. There were authors, panels, and a whole lot more. It was a great time, and of course, I was there to MC the event as well as interview some of the great writers. In this episode, Tim Jones, creator of the Sour Grapes comic, joins me to talk about the origins of the strip, its many characters, and the process of getting into so many papers over the years. Following that, Angelina Singer and I catch up after 2 years, and she has quite a bit to share, including the release of her Rewind Duology and the audiobook versions. To close out this episode, emcee Madjoucoff and I talk about her book Fried Catfish, a comedy drama all about the world of catfishing in a screenplay format. So kick back, relax, and enjoy. My good pal, Tim Jones, someone I know very well, actually, from many, many years back.
And I know
many
you well,
Comic-Cons, expos, and so forth. I think it's really appropriate they were kind of ending this in like the best way possible, I think.
Oh,
by having you here to talk about your comic strip, Sour Grapes, which has been on for a long time. You can find it in well over like 30 papers, I believe.
I'm up to 35.
35. You actually just got added to a new one, right?
I got added to two more.
Two more. Jeez, dude.
In East Providence, it's the East Providence Reporter, and then the Seekonk Rehoboth Reporter. So, wow, Massachusetts, just over the border, really.
Yeah. Now, these days, I think like in this day and age where we have so much stuff online, the notion of getting a comic strip like syndicated may seem a little like just a little like old school. But I'm curious as to like what is involved in getting yourself in all these papers.
It's a lot of begging.
Please let me in your paper.
It's a really good strip. But I usually get hung up on when I start that. But it it's like fishing, really. You just cast it out there. Hopefully, you get a bite. I try and do a quick sales pitch, and just tell them. I don't. It's funny because I never tell them what the strip is about. Like,
really?
Ever. I just talked with someone today down in Georgia, which is another place I'm published, and I tried another Georgia paper south of Atlanta, and I just told them, I'm a cartoonist from Rhode Island, and I have this comic, Sour Grapes. It's currently in 35 papers. It's popular, self-syndicated. Would you be interested in, seeing it in your paper or running it in the paper and stuff, or seeing some samples or whatever? And I got lucky with this guy. He says, "Yeah, sure. Send me some samples along." And but he didn't ask me what it was about. And unless they do, I don't tell them, because I feel that the work should stand on its own. Mm-hmm. So if you give them something that's just kind of like, what's that about? You're kind of not hitting the mark. But
what would you say though? Like if you had to like narrow it down to say one sentence, what would you say the strip is actually about?
Oh, it's Aesop is the main character. Mm-hmm. It's this guy right here, the dog. We don't refer to him as a dog though. He's an individual.
Exactly.
But that's Aesop. He's a miserable flying dog, and he lives in a problematic troubled world with his friends, and basically that's Sour Grapes. That's just about it. Yeah,
I'm actually impressed that you're able to like distill it down to one sentence, because like I've been a fan of this for years, of course, and I find that the strip is really, it's not just like one thing or one character. It's not like Garfield, for example, which has your like main character, and then the smaller characters. Like everyone seems to be kind of on a very like even keel in terms of like a main character.
I try and do that. I mean, Aesop is in just about every episode, because it is about him and his life and how he has to put up with these situations that he just kind of happens to be involved in. And these guys coming to him with his problems, or it is a problem, and he's just trying to. He's got this attitude like, just like, oh God, now what?
Yeah.
And, so he deals with it in his own sarcastic response way and stuff like that. But he's always there to listen. Mm-hmm. That's his thing. He's a good listener. He's just a smart ass. But but getting back to the other thing is, it's like I never, I just described it to you, but I've never had to do that. Even if I started sending emails because of COVID, nobody was answering their phones. Everybody was working remote. So even when I sent an email, I just kept it really simple. It's this, it's a strip, it's self-syndicated, I never tell them what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Because they may look at it and say, I don't know about that. They can't envision a miserable flying dog and what's that all about. So I'd rather just show them. Here you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of telling, it's always better to show than it is to tell. I learned that in writing back when I was in college, and I took a creative writing course, which I got an A in, and probably the only A besides my blood type. And
hey, me too! Yay!
Gotta do something right.
Yeah, I mean, writing was it for me. I think everything else was just barely squeaks by.
Yeah. Why do I need to know the square root? And,
exactly. You don't really know math.
Why does it have to be square? And
whenever we get philosophy classes.
Right, exactly. But the teacher told us, it's always better to show than it is to tell. So that's basically, I've always brought that with me. That was a long time ago. So I would do that in my emails and that. Sometimes I get lucky and sometimes I don't.
I think you've gotten pretty lucky so far, though. But what would you say the ratio though is the emails versus the acceptance? Because I'm sure for people who have their own strips, who are wondering, hey, can I get myself into the papers and the magazines?
It's tough. I couldn't really put a number in that because I get interest. I get hang-ups. I've gotten some hang-ups because they figure it sounds like a sales pitch to them, and we don't do comments, click.
Yeah.
Or some of them are, no, it sounds great, but we're really not taking anything right now in space or whatever.
Space.
Yeah, space.
Doesn't take up a whole lot of space actually. Just for the record, folks, this comic is actually in my paper, the No Star Reporter, and I can safely say it doesn't take up a ton of space.
No, well, some papers do put me in half page. Call up saying, you don't have to do that. It's people open up and whoa.
Yeah, it's okay, that's bigger than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, hey, this must be a senior magazine.
Right.
It's huge.
The big
but nothing
print
against
version.
Seniors,
Well, you get older, the vision.
I was a senior once, and then I graduated.
Hey-o.
So, but, anyways, where were we going with that?
Let's talk about the comic's origins. Where did the concept for this thing come from, and how'd you first get it off the ground?
Well, going way back to the late 1900s, we'll call it 1997 to 2000 something, 2001, 2002. These characters were in a strip called Every Blue Moon, which was my very first venture into doing something like this.
Cool.
And it was in 6 papers. One of them, the Pawtucket Times, of which I'm still in. Imagine that.
Yeah.
And where was I going with that? Oh, so same characters. Aesop. They were similar, but didn't look hardly anything like what they look like now. Aesop was still kind of Aesop, but Aesop didn't fly back then. He just kind of walked. I just gave a dog with a cape. I had a different backstory to it, the whole 9 yards. Put together a book, and it lasted for a couple, maybe 4 years or so, until it got to the point where I couldn't really develop it, because it's important that you can develop a story just like you write any other kind of story. So. For all intents and purposes, I put it to bed and went on with life. Got married, had kids, went to school, finished my degree, and then I came out with another strip called Job Shop, and that was centered around manufacturing, machining, that type of industry and stuff. Which is what I was doing for a full-time job at the time, and I got a writer for that. I just did the drawing. I went on to do stand-up because I thought I was funny. And so I met this guy, Paul Nardizzi, professional comedian still. We did that for a couple of years, and it went well. I was in papers with that as well. And then he got busy, got more popular, Conan O'Brien and Comedy Central, stuff like that, so he had to go. So I put it to bed. Then I went on with, doing more stand-up and then quit because people just laughed at me. And,
Is that the whole point, though?
Yeah. Well, that's the joke.
Yeah, exactly, right.
So, and I'm allergic to tomatoes, so it
Fair
didn't
enough.
work out okay. So, so anyways, so I did that, and then I was still working full-time at another job. Got laid off in 2013, and I just stopped. Life stopped. I was just kind of like, oh boy. But I used that time to. I had the friend of mine, good friend of mine. We'll call him Eric because that's his name, and he called me. We talked and stuff like that, and he really kicked my butt to get back into doing this, and I did, and decided to bring all these characters back and put them into this new thing. I always had sour grapes on my mind, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to call it sour grapes, but I Googled it, and just to make sure, like if you have a band or something like that, you want to make sure nobody else has got that name, so I Googled sour grapes to make sure. Come to find out, sour grapes is a derivative of Aesop's fables, the Aesop's fable, The Fox and the Grape.
Okay.
Which I didn't know. And then I freaked out, and I went, wait a minute, it's an Aesop's fable. My character's name is Aesop. No, I had no idea, and I just went, that's it. That's the title.
Yep,
What a coincidence.
Exactly.
So the rest is history. So
Nice.
just leave it at that.
Yeah,
So
man.
that's my story.
It's quite a series of twists and turns now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Now, one thing that I want to talk about too is that I know that when it comes to doing your comics, you're a little more old school. I know these days most cartoonists, they just do everything on their iPads and their phones and such. But you're a little more old school, right?
I'm an old schooler. Well, I shouldn't say complete. Well, I'm 60-40, just because you have to have technology nowadays.
Yeah, you can't.
Right. So I draw it, Bristol board, pencil, ink it, and I write out the letters for the writing. So I write and draw at the same time. Some people write and then they draw or whatever. I mostly write and draw. I'll have an idea in my head, but put it on the paper. I'm writing it as I go because the pictures have to match the words and vice versa. So that's another class. And then after I ink it, I'll put it on my flatbed scanner, get it into Photoshop, and that's where the magic is.
Exactly.
That's
the
where
scanning
That's
happens.
where the mistakes are fixed because I have a little tablet.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll send me the comic before it's finalized and say, "Hey, is this any good?" And I'll be like, maybe just put a comment here.
One of my helpers.
Change a word here. I'm the editor almost.
You are. You are.
I'm the code guy for it.
Is this funny?
And then you're just like, okay, take that thing out, fix it. So, like you said, it's where all the kinks get ironed out. Right.
So, and then I do the actual font for the lettering. I can fix my mistakes. I can, if I got to move stuff around a little bit, I do. And then I'll do the editing some more and make sure that everything works just right. As long as the joke works, folks. Doesn't have to be funny. As long as it works. Then I can color it. Because I have to, I give you a black and white, and I give a color.
Yep.
A lot of the papers I have to do that. Some of them take black and white, some take color. But then I, back up a little bit. I have to save it down to a JPEG, because that's how you send these strips out nowadays.
Yep.
Harkening back to Every Blue Moon, I used to. As a matter of fact, I would have to go to the Pawtucket Times, to a paper in North Attleboro that I used to be in, and a bunch of other ones. I would have to drive around at a deadline
Oh my God.
with my hard copy, go to the copy machine, literally put it on there, shrink it down for them, and then hand them that. And that's when they used to really copy and paste. They put it up on the board and do all that stuff.
Oh my God.
I had to do that every week.
That actually reminds me of a guy I used to know. I forget his name, but I used to know him from the old job. He did like a sports comic, and he just simply refused to adapt to the tech. He would just walk in every week, drop off his like printed comic, and walk out. You know,
Oh, really?
He just would not adapt to the times, and so we had to scan it and do all that stuff. So I definitely remember those times too.
Yeah, so that was those days, and it's a little easier now to do it that way. But,
Yeah.
high res stuff, and it looks great and all that stuff. So
Yeah. Let's talk about the story. Like, how you when it comes to like thinking of the ideas for each weekly comic. Do you have a process, or does it sort of just come to you at random moments?
the strip is based off my life.
Oh, really?
So if you read the comic,
so you are also a depressed flying creature.
well, he's not depressed. He's just miserable.
Miserable,
There's a
okay.
difference. There's a difference.
So you
He's
so you
not
are
sad.
so you're
Yeah.
a miserable flying dog.
I'm a miserable flying dog. I get a lot of people saying, "No, Aesop's you," but okay, fine. You're not my friend anymore. But
you're a little more pleasant than that.
yeah,
just go
just
shoot
a
it.
little.
Tiny
bit. But it's just basically what's happened for me. I love my family, love my wife, love my kids. That's not what I mean by my life. My daily experiences. That's probably a better word.
Yeah.
And I kind of draw on that, and put it into the strip. I have some other tertiary, we'll call them. Oh, that's a big word for me. Tertiary characters. You see Aesop with snowmen sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see him with the new guy. There he is, right here. Ominous. Aesop has a pet cloud named Ominous.
Yep.
And he's become a fan favorite, so he pops up more often than not. So he's fun to write for. So it all depends on the situation, and I'll say, okay, who's going to be good for this? Okay.
Yeah.
But if you remember Mr. Rogers,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because we all watched him, we can admit it,
Mm-hmm.
and he would have a theme for the show, for that episode. But then he would take that theme and he would get you on the trolley and go into make-believe. And he would show how they dealt with that same kind of theme in that thing. So it's almost like that's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
I put it to them and say, okay, now you guys take this. And it usually starts to write themselves, because I know these characters so well, especially Aesop. He's always on my mind. He's me. So I know how they would deal with it in a way. So I just put it to them, and then they kind of take it off in their own world. So there's imagination going right there.
I get you.
Yeah.
What about the other characters? Who are they, and what would you say their personalities are?
Well, this is we'll start with the girl.
Yep.
That's Constance. And she's Maddie's little sister.
Mm-hmm.
She's a 16-year-old brat, and just your basic teenage girl, and thinks the world revolves around her, and just angry most of the time, attitude, all that stuff. So that's her MO. And next to her is Maddie. That's her older brother. He's a not-so-bright astrophysicist, and has problems with girls and stuff, and dating and that. And he's just there to be the nerd of the group, really, which is another side of me, and a big side.
No, really?
Hide my Captain America shirt.
Exactly right. Well, you counter it well with your Patriots hat. So
Yes.
Balances,
There's a thing. There's a theme going on here. Okay, so didn't plan it though. It's just
Exactly
the next thing
right.
off the laundry pile.
There you go.
And then we have Slice, and Slice is just the opposite of what Sour Grapes is all about. He's the annoying, positive guy of the group. everything's wonderful, everything's great. He wears the number 1 on his shirt because you're number 1. Don't let anybody ever tell you you're not. And and wants to give everybody a hug and stuff, but he's just overly annoying with it. And of course Aesop, but we talked about him, and then his pet Cloud Ominous, and there's a group of snowmen. There's Henry, there's Horace, there's a new one I just came up with, Kurt. Hi, Kurt. Named him after a friend of mine, and stuff like that. So Aesop communicates with the snowmen sometimes, depending on what I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a fun bunch to look at and to get to know.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, the thing about Sour Grapes is that I think, and it's important with comic strips for those of you that are wanting to do one, it's got to relate to a wide audience, to something that's relatable. So Sour Grapes is something that we all experience in our lives. So I think it reaches out to a broad audience. So it's important. Yeah.
And you talked about anyone who wants to do their own comic. I feel like these days that's gotten a lot easier because there are more, like, where we are seeing the closure of a lot of papers and magazines. We're seeing the creation, of course, platforms like Webtoon and Tapas and things like that. So more and more folks can, if they have an idea for a comic strip, they can still do it. Like, it's not too late.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The industry has changed so much. Where
the industry
more
has
options.
changed, but there are, they say the newspaper industry is waning. Well, it might be in some cases. I try not to look at it as so detrimental of a business, because you've got a great paper and it's doing well, and North Star Reporter.
Yeah.
And in case we
Plug,
didn't mention that. And
here's your money.
Yeah. It's not enough, but we'll talk about it. So, I don't see it that way, because a lot of the papers that I'm in are weeklies. Mm-hmm. So those are thriving.
Those are doing very well, yeah.
Because, as you know, they cover a community, and a lot of them are big community. Mm-hmm. And so you only see that news there. You're not going to see that anywhere else.
Exactly.
And then, of course, I'm sure you cover other broader topics and stuff like that. But so it being a weekly comic, anyways, I that's what I go after, anyways.
Yeah.
So I am in some monthlies. Can I show this one?
Yeah, go for it.
Motive Magazine.
Yeah, which you can they'll actually be. I believe they'll actually be at the Comic Con.
They're going to be there. Rhode Island Wave is going to be there tomorrow. That I'm also in that one monthly, and a bunch of other papers. But I am. What I was getting at is I am in a few monthlies too. I'm also on some websites. Rhode Island News Today is one. I'm on WARA website in Attleboro. What's Up Newport? It's another one. So I'm starting to get onto some websites. So here he is. Let's see if I get it.
Yeah, there it is.
Tell the
In print
cameraman
for all
to
see.
focus in. There we go.
Camera guy, zoom in.
Thanks, Cliff.
Oh wait, there is no camera guy.
We just don't talk about it.
Exactly.
But,
be quiet, Cliff. Back to your corner.
Right.
How long would you say it takes to make one of these from idea to shipping it off to the papers?
Well, it all depends. As I say, I write and I draw at the same time, so I'm constantly changing stuff, erasing and editing. And once I get it into the computer, I'm still editing and changing and stuff like that until it's a good product. Comic strip is a product, so you want it to have a finished look and a finished read and stuff like that. So I don't know. It could be 2 hours to 3 hours. Sometimes even longer. It all depends. I work to deadline. I don't work ahead.
Yeah.
So I want to do that. So if I ever get picked up nationally, well, I mean, I'm across the country with papers, but I mean, in a big syndicate, it'll have me used to a deadline. You know what I mean? So I figure if I work to deadline, I'll do it that way. But the papers that I'm in are all different deadlines.
which is
like your
which I'm sure like might be tough.
Yeah, your Thursdays.
Yep.
And then, but it's for the next week, and then I have Sundays, and that's one, and Monday's another one, and Tuesday's another, Wednesday's another one, and it goes back to Thursday. So I have to remember all this, and I have one day is a bunch of papers, another day is a bunch of papers. So I have to time everything, especially around Christmas time.
Oh yeah, this time of year stuff.
Because I'm going away out of the country, and I have to time it so these things come out when they're supposed to, and all this stuff. And
so do you just have this big like chart at home where it's like, okay, Monday ship it to this guy, Tuesday ship it to these guys?
I actually had to make, once I got into those other two papers, I went, whoa, I gotta write this down.
Yeah, you can get organized. Otherwise,
you know what I mean? Because it's like 15th of the month is the monthlies. One other one's the 8th and stuff, and then it's all these other papers. So I had to write it all down and stuff. I have the worst memory in the world, but for some reason I've been able to remember all the editors' names.
Wow.
Because I address them, individually, and when I send out the emails. So, I had to write it all down. I got it up in front of me now.
Yeah. Oh no, you got it. I mean, especially with like what'd you say, 35 papers now.
Yeah.
There's no way you don't want to say, oh, I'm sure I'll remember that one. And you realize, oh yeah, several of them never got their comic.
Once or twice I've just forgotten. I was like, oh no. And it usually happens with the new people because I forget to slip them in. But so it's Rhode Island. A lot of them are Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Georgia. Let me think for a minute. Georgia.
Was there one down
there? Georgia, Texas, New Mexico, and California.
Yeah, I was gonna say wasn't Cali on the list too?
Yeah, I'm in California, and the paper that the newer ones are Georgia and New Mexico. The one in New Mexico. Just told me how much they really loved it, and they might consider after the first year putting me in their sister papers, which are in California.
Very cool.
And I'm like, yes, I'll get more.
Yeah, exactly.
So it just
adds to the list, man. Definitely.
Why not, right?
So what is next for you, Tim? We're seeing the return, of course, of comic conventions. I didn't mean tonight. I meant in the near future, because of course we've seen the return of the Comic Cons. You've been at a couple already. Do you have more appearances planned aside from of course Aria tomorrow? Yeah,
as a matter of fact, I'm signed up for 3 in April.
Nice. Wow, busy.
So that's a new one called Retro Expo. Mm-hmm. That's in. Guy's gonna kill me now. It's near Fall River area, and the new Wicked Con.
I've heard about that one.
That one's going to be good. It's going to be a one day this time. It's the first one, but that one's going to be good. It's the people that used to do the Boston Expo, the Boston Comic Con.
Yep.
Which is now Boston Fan Expo. So that's going to be a good one, and I'll be there with the National Cartoonist Society for that one.
Which, of course, you are part of.
I'm a part of the National Cartoonist Society, which is great, so we'll be there with them, and then I'm in New Hampshire at the Old School Comic Show, which is with Little Giants. Plug Little Giants comic book store. So that's a good one too. That's a one day. That's a big one. So I'm very happy to see that. They've already all three of them have already started advertising and stuff. So. And I'm lining up more. I think there's another Kids Con. I'm doing Kids Con again. I think that's June or May. Terrificon, of course. Love doing Terrificon. I'm a guest up there. I may do Northeast Comic Con. I'm not sure. I'm actually thinking of trying to get into New York Comic Con.
Ooh, that'd be big.
I don't know.
That'd be big.
I have to talk to a few people to see if I can make it work. But that's not till October. November is with the National Cartoonist Society. Oh, Plastic City Comic Con, Keith Gleason, Mighty Mascots, awesome.
Of course, you're a regular at the Rhode Island Comic Con. which
Right.
you're at that in November. Of course, next year I'm sure you'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back. I'll be there with I was there with the National Cartoonist Society, which was a lot of fun.
That was a blast.
Talk about digital. Remember the monitors and stuff?
Yeah, you
That
got
was
the chance to
fun.
kind of like play around with some of the toys.
People could see my messy drawing about me on the big monitor and stuff. So that was a lot of fun. Met a lot of great people and got a massage every day for free.
Well, there you go.
Go for it. Yeah, there was a
I
guy
never
there.
got that. I was there Friday and Saturday. What the
He
hell?
was right down the way. And
Where was
he had
my
his own little
massage?
chair. He's like,
I'm a walking basket of stress. You kidding me?
Guy was like a backloader for God's sakes. Nice. But anyways, another story, folks. But anyways, so yeah, I think it's going to be a good year. God willing, we'll all be healthy and a lot of this stuff will be behind us. But
Definitely.
So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff coming up that I'm hoping to do, and maybe some different stuff with this, and still have want to do the book. It's still there. It's still up there.
Book's in the works. A book is in the works.
It's
folks.
in there, but we gotta tweak it. But and I after we're done, I'll tell you my idea. But so yeah, a lot of good stuff. I keep plugging. Just it's a lot of work trying to get into papers, but I love doing it.
Exactly.
So
that's what counts.
But
I love doing it.
It's a lot of work.
All right.
So
well, Tim, man, as always, it is so cool talking to you.
Yeah, same here.
Hopefully, folks at home are now on his website, sourgrapescomic.com. You can check out all the comics. He's on all of his socials, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can catch the comic in numerous papers, including mine, North Star Reporter, out every Wednesday. And of course,
on the site you can see there's a list of the papers that I'm in, so you can look and see maybe you live in those areas where it's in and stuff like that.
There you go.
And the books are in there too, and you can just contact me and we work it out to get you one and stuff. So
exactly.
Picture this. You finished your first book and nailed it. The plot, the characters, all the twists and turns. This one's a winner, and all you need is the right cover. If you've got my art skills, this is the part where panic usually sets in. Enter the cover villain, hero to writers everywhere. Founded by noted author Remy Flagg, Cover Villain focuses on composite image covers for science fiction and fantasy writers. Give them the details, and they'll craft a cover using popular trends that everyone will want to see. But wait, you say, I've got ideas of my own. No problem, as Cover Villain loves a good collaboration. As they say, our goal is to put a little villain in every cover we make. Want to know more? Then head to covervillain.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Citywide Blackout live at the Rhode Island Author Expo, and it wouldn't be complete if I did not speak to my pal Angelina Singer. She's been on the show numerous times, kind of like a regular for when we do these kinds of events.
Yeah, I think so. It's really fun. Thank you for having me, Max. It's great to be here.
And certainly this has been a busy couple of years for you. I think when we last talked in 2019, we were just about to put out the Rewind Duology.
Yes, which I actually have here today. Book 1 is here and book 2.
And you could buy a copy if you came down to the expo. Just saying.
Maybe. I mean, I'm here, so, at least come see the hair in person. So.
Exactly. The hair in person.
Right?
Love that.
Yes.
So, but the thing that I really wanted to ask about is the audiobooks. So you recently put out the audiobooks for these titles. Who did you work with for this one?
So this is awesome. And actually, I'm doing a live stream with my narrator, Chelsea Kwoka, on December 17th at 3 p.m. on Instagram. Love to see you there. She is fantastic. She's done, DC comic stuff, Powerpuff Girl commercials, crazy things. And she works with me, and she did all these characters, and I'm still, I don't know how she wanted to, but she did, and she's amazing, and I'm so grateful. And Chelsea, if you're seeing this, you're the best. You're a rock star. I love working with Chelsea, so check her out if you haven't. She's amazing. Yeah.
How'd you find her, and what about her made you someone you want to work with for this thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So on ACX, you can find different people and different narrators, and I guess it was just her tone and her sassy kind of style, because they put samples of what they do, you know what I mean? And so she has a very versatile voice. She can do, male voice voices and kind of villainous voices and goofy, loud voices. Very diverse. I am so impressed. So if you want to work with her, I highly recommend it. She's a lovely person, incredibly talented, and just an absolute joy. So recommend it. Go hit her up, definitely.
Which is hard to do, actually. Doing like all the voices, doing like the male and the female,
right.
older, younger,
Exactly.
different like backgrounds, ethnicities. It's really it's such a range. So I think it's kind of rare for someone who can actually do all those voices.
No, for sure. And so that's why I love working with her. And she's so professional and goofy and fun. And she, oh my gosh, I just laugh. She captured people so well, especially because in both of these books, I wrote Willow and Xander based on my college friends. So I basically had to tell her about them and who they are as people, and she really nailed their voices. It was so funny to me, so I loved it. I'm still wigging out over it. If you like audiobooks, go check out these on Audible and iTunes and all that fun stuff. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell us about the Rewind Duology, because it's been a couple years. We haven't really talked about it. What's this series all about?
So I basically wrote my old middle school bullies as psychotic criminals. It's something that everybody wishes they could do, right?
They do say write what you know,
right?
And you know them.
I know them for 9 miserable years of my life as a child. So now they're psychotic criminals who force scientific experimentation on people. They basically force people into suspended hyperstasis or whatever that is, a sci-fi thing. And they're basically forced into a video game. So my character goes back in time to find out what happened to her dad. So no spoilers, but you can see where this is going. And in the second book, she gets stuck in a video game. So the first one is forgetting what I could remember. Has to do with the idea of memory and how trauma affects memory as a child, especially in the time, growing up like from that and how that all goes together. And then the sequel involves the actual video game itself. There's romance and coming of age and virtual reality, and this one is actually heavily based on an anime, Sword Art Online. If you've seen that, Max,
Love that series.
Right? Isn't it great?
Which I think I
gosh.
think we may be in the minority, because like a lot of folks hate that series.
Wait, really?
It's gotten some flack, yeah.
Why?
I
it's
love
the
it.
only one I've watched. I don't really watch anime. My friend recommended it.
I honestly cried like towards the end of the first season. I was like, oh my god, why?
Yeah, no, it's intense. It is, and I enjoyed it because it's very like sweet, but the storytelling is so good, and it's not too violent. Like there's worse anime out there.
There's
for
so
violence.
much worse. There's so much worse.
So I want to say it's
Berserk.
okay, I'm
That's a good example.
Is it?
Definitely not for kids or for anyone with stomach issues.
Oh
let's just say.
gosh,
Yes.
yeah, no. I mean, there's some really
It's
dark
intense.
stuff out there, but I feel like it's not as dark as some other anime, so I'm kind of good with like watching it. I really enjoyed it, and so I took it as kind of an idea for this kind of stuff. And people that love anime, like I had somebody buy just this book, and I'm like, you can. It's a sequel. I recommend the other, but
Which is like missing out on a lot of things.
Yeah, just a little bit. But I mean, you still can. It's still a story. But I gave him the card for the next one. I'm like, hey, if you want to read the first one, you can. So. Yeah.
Cool. Now, you put these both out in the last couple of years, right?
Correct, yes.
So during a time when you could not do author expos, you could not do shows, you could do a signing.
I know, and it sucked because, like, I'm so proud of these. Like, I'm proud of all my work, but, I mean, the quality of the writing and storytelling, I've grown so much, and I think you want to get out to share it with people. So now I'm so happy to have the Author Expo today, and Comic-Con was last month in November, so that was a really great thing, too. And overall, it's just good to be here with my author people and just network, like always. So it's great, and Max is one of the best to network with, so we love doing this, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. So, were you able to connect with the fans without being able to actually connect with the fans?
Yeah, well, one thing we did was I talked to Chelsea, my narrator, again. We did a live stream, I want to say, a little after we did this book. So she narrated both of these, and we did it on Instagram like we're doing again next week, and it's fun because people can jump in there and interact, and that's a really good stand-in. If you can't do personal, IRL events, this is a great way to stay connected. So I was really happy to have that opportunity, and it's not the best, but it's not terrible. So.
It's something. I think
it is. Yeah.
I think it's like one of those things where you take what you can get, because we just couldn't do
exactly.
the in-person event. This we're doing here, sitting next to each other. It could not do it.
I know.
Big
I know.
no.
I know. So it's wonderful that things are going in a better direction now, and people are willing to come out and talk to everyone again, and it's been wonderful. So I'm really blessed. Yeah.
Now, one thing that I've been seeing with you is that you have a great social media presence.
Thank you. I try so
Your
hard.
Insta is always popping. You're always posting some great stories.
Oh, thank you.
Did you take classes for this, or are you just self-taught with it?
Well, I'm flattered you think I was trained because no. I took a couple marketing classes in college, but not like enough. I actually work for a marketing agency as a day job, so I do a few different things, but I do copy editing for them. And my boss, she is one of my former classmates. She knows all this stuff. She's brilliant. She makes 6 figures a year in her own agency. She's incredible. But so I read all her content, and I kind of I subtly learn, because when you're reading stuff, you learn. I'm not stealing it, of course, but you learn different tactics, and she offers a lot of really helpful gems on her page, too. So you just learn by working around it. But yeah, I just know what I would want to see, and I try to jump into that and bring things that are helpful and fun and personal and just different. So I try really hard. TikTok is also a new challenge I've embarked on. I don't know if you've seen anything I posted from the hat.
I've yet to do the TikToks.
Yeah,
probably not my thing.
Well, even if you want to check it out, just because there's a really fun musical content on there. And it's a great way to connect in a different platform. So I highly recommend it. I don't use it as often as I should, but I like watching stuff and learning what other authors do, and I definitely jump on different trends when I feel like it. So it's good.
And it is so important too, especially now. You need to have the presence. You gotta, whether it's your Instas, your Twitter, your Facebook, TikTok, what have you.
Yes.
You gotta be willing to learn this thing, because this is how you meet the fans. This is how you connect with folks. And I'm sure you had a chance to connect with folks who don't necessarily live here, or from all over the place.
Oh gosh, yeah. I have friends from all over the place. I've met friends through bands, through Facebook pages of author stuff. Honestly, anything. You can meet people, and it's really cool to have that. And sometimes they're local, and you're able to catch up with them, and it's super fun. So it's just great. The internet has opened up truly so much for us. Yeah.
What would you say has been the best part of being able to return to this level of event? Meeting folks, just seeing people again.
I think networking. I am totally obsessed with networking. The more people you know, you get more job opportunities. There's just connections to be made, and you never know what could happen. Heck, at the Situate Art Festival, I met the editor-in-chief of Wargate Books, who walked by my table.
Wow.
And he has friends who might actually represent me, so they might actually take these books. We're in talks about it now, so it's not Wargate. Friends of his are in a different publishing company, so I'm not dropping names or doing too much, but but they're aware he's going to try to push for me and get that moving, so hopefully. I won't say what company they're part of, just to keep a little nuance and privacy, but there's some really interesting things in the works, and it could change my life if it goes through, so we're just praying and hoping that something picks up, because that would be amazing.
So you do a lot of different things. Of course, you have your books, you work for a marketing company, you also do freelance journalism covering bands and shows.
Yeah.
How do you balance all this?
I don't. I have a
Fair
terrible
enough.
work-life balance.
That's fair enough. Neither do I.
I even have an e-commerce job doing content writing for a Grove Collaborative, which is an organic company that does household wares and personal care. So I do everything, and I'm looking for more because I'm crazy. I have a horrible work-life balance, but I also crochet, and I do that as an art business on the side, and I'm training to teach guitar lessons because I need a social job. I'm always at my laptop. I need to be around people eventually, so just a lot of different avenues, and I think over time I'll start to scale it down when I have something that's a little more consistent, but for now I'm just kind of hustling and networking and doing all of it, because
always hustle.
Right.
You
never
gotta
stop.
always hustle. You gotta, but that's very true. Though. You gotta make those deals, because
for sure.
you can't wait for an agency to come and save you. You gotta be able to do yourself. So when you get noticed by the agents, they say, you know what, she's already doing so much.
I think that's what it is. It's if you show that you're polished, you've done your homework, you've done all the push yourself, they're like, oh, you're really unique and you already have a following. I have 1,200 followers on Instagram. I'm working really hard to keep growing. So I will say a website has changed my life. I had a website made recently, just angelinasinger.com. My freelancing, my books, it's all housed under one neat little pink umbrella, like me. So yeah, it's just a really good place to network, and people see you there and take you more seriously. So I recommend it. For sure.
Yeah, exactly. Don't just do something and then kind of sit back and say, okay, any day now I'll be getting those calls. Never gonna happen.
No. And I don't post as much as I feel like I should. Although I'm glad you said, oh, it's always popping. I'm like, I try.
It is.
The stories especially.
The stories especially. She is on point with this.
The stories really try. Stories are great. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what is next for you now?
Oh, next? I do have an idea for a rock star fake dating romance.
I love that concept.
on brand
love
for
it.
me. You have no idea.
It's very on brand for you.
Oh, extremely.
Very much so.
Do you know how many musicians I've hit on in my life? Don't even get me started. Oh my gosh.
It's like a long list.
Oh yeah. I know. I network in musical circles, so there are opportunities. We'll just put it that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, it's not like hitting on them. It's like networking. It's connecting with them.
Exactly. Sure. Networking. Sure.
That's what they're calling it these days, kids.
That's what we're calling it. Yeah. No, legit though. I'm really just networking and working hard. And this new story, I kind of hope to have representation for it. So I've outlined loosely. I have character names that are loosely locked in. And I'm hoping to write really soon. As soon as my work life finds a little bit of a dull roar and things settle after the holidays, I'm going to dive in and have a manuscript done and hopefully start pushing it to somebody who can represent it. So I thought about doing traditional publishing. I think it might be hybrid, because hybrid gives you more royalties and more control, which I like both of those things. So we're going to try to do that.
Excellent.
Plan.
Excellent. Well, Angelina, as always, great to reconnect. Good to catch up on everything.
Yes.
Folks, if you don't already, go to it, angelinasinger.com.
Yes.
It's all in one spot. Get the books, get the audiobooks, because those are awesome.
Thank you.
And if you're in the area, come on down. We are at the Crown Plaza, Branch Avenue, Warwick, Rhode Island. It's a free event. Get some books.
I'm
do your
actually
shopping
giving
early.
away, too. If you sign up for my mailing list, I'm giving away signed copies of these. So might be worth your while. Maybe.
Might be. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is always a blast. And again, tune in to my Instagram Live next week, December 17th, to talk to me and Chelsea Kwoka, the narrator of these books, and you can learn more about her and the things that we both do. So thank you so much again, Max.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
This is your girl, Lady V, host of the V Line, and you're listening to Citywide Blackout.
Hey everyone, we're back. Citywide Blackout live at the Rhode Island Author Expo. As you can see, I've had too much coffee, but that's okay because I keep the energy going because this is a great event happening, folks. It is going on right now until 3 p.m. So if you're not here, come on down. The Crown Plaza Ballroom, Branch Avenue in Warwick, Rhode Island. Joining me now, this is really cool because we have been Facebook and Instagram friends for a long time, but now we get to meet in real life.
Yes.
She's a real person. I am joined by author emcee Madjoucoff, talking about her book, Fried Catfish, and this is actually a screenplay, folks. I love reading screenplays, so this is a really cool thing. So, emcee, welcome to the show. It's so cool to have you here.
Thank you.
But let's start with just the origin story for this book.
Well, nice to see you in person, Max,
Right?
as well. I'm so excited you're live. And so, the origins was actually something in 2017 that came to my mind. I was watching a lot of Dr. Phil shows at that time, and it's just a far-fetched story about a woman in her late 40s, 50s, whatever, divorce, being catfished online, and it's about a person that comes into her life through another method where she helps bring the catfish to justice, and there's a capuchin monkey involved, so his name is Jimmy. So I really, again, I know I've gone a little over the top here, just giving you bits and pieces, but you just have to read it. Why it's a screenplay, though, it's something that it came to me in a movie version. And can I just tell you the actors?
Yes, please.
The actors that I envisioned in this were Melissa McCarthy as the main character, and then
good choice.
yeah, I love her.
Solid choice.
And then Kathy Bates would play her mother. And,
Yes.
And then Leslie Jones from Saturday Night Live. She played with Melissa McCarthy in Ghostbusters. It would be, I don't know what you would call the character. I mean, I don't know what you would say, but she's actually the woman that helps her out. She's a secret agent that helps Lori, who's the main character. And then the Capuchin Monkey, Jimmy, you'll see how he comes in if you buy the book. And then lastly, Simon Helberg, am I saying his name right, from the Big Bang Theory? Yeah, so he would be the actual villain. So again, it's a really fun read, which is what I've been getting a lot of feedback on. But it just came out in February. So I hope people buy it, and I hope someday it gets to be in the big screen.
Yes, Hollywood. You heard it here first. Make this movie, okay? Make it happen. Same casting too. So why the write it as a screenplay? I mean, did you try and shop it around to different companies?
I haven't really done much of that yet. I'm just getting my feet wet. I mean, again, being part of ARIA, which is something that, you know, is really helpful because I've met a lot of great authors, and I mean, you know, even talking to you, and again, I will somehow have to make more connections, so I hope that'll happen soon. I know there's like a movie, Rhode Island, I guess, film collaborative in Rhode Island. So I have yet to make a meeting there. But again, like maybe someday it'll just come together. But in the meantime, you know, again, I'm selling it on Amazon.com, and then also from Stillwater Books, who's the publisher.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so far that's what's going on.
Excellent. So let's define the term catfishing. 'Cause I'm sure, like, most folks know what it means, but there's some who don't. What exactly is it to be catfished?
Well, again, I watched the Dr. Phil show years ago, and that's how I learned about the term. I mean, to be catfished is to go online, and whether you're a man or woman, or I mean, and then all of a sudden you see someone that is good looking, and then all of a sudden they want to, you know, get to know you, but they want to get to know you too quickly, and they're not the real person. It's just, it could be it's a fake person behind the profile. So that's what I understand. Well, I mean, that's what really the catfish, but it's a funny term if you think about it.
Yeah. So wait, so online dating sites aren't to be trusted? I am shocked at this. Shocked.
But I guess you're a fact finder and a researcher, so that's why you would know more. But I must say, I shouldn't say this live, but I'm saying, I mean, I can be gullible sometimes, but I'm saying not this gullible. But no, but as far as you just have to trust your gut. I mean, who on earth really is going to fall in love with you just by looking, you know, into a camera, or I'm not even a camera, looking at a picture, and then all of a sudden, you know, you don't even meet the person, and then all of a sudden they start asking you for money the next day. I mean,
exactly.
Come on, nobody loves you that quickly unless, you know, it's insane, but yeah.
I getcha. So let's talk about the writing process, because this is your first book. It's your debut book, which is really cool. How'd you go about like writing it, and did you find yourself going like back and forth to change things?
Yes, I started it out first with, again, I started out at the beginning, but I've never written a book, but I know that there's a flow to it. So I know, you know, there's the first part, then there's the climax, and then there's the ending. So I have to be honest with you, I got to get better at writing in general. But again, it just pretty much flowed. But I did have to come back and fill in some of the gaps of, you know. But again, having great publishers like Steve and Dawn Porter, you know, from Stillwater Books, they helped me a lot.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What would you say was like the best offer, the best like advice that they gave you about this?
Well, you know what? They loved it right away. You know, I mean, I know Dawn really loved the story right away. I'd have to say about writing it.
Yeah.
I would have to say there was just some details that were left out that I had to put in there. But they didn't question They didn't really question it too much. It was more like I just had to give more information, and so I hate to say it. I'm so sorry. It's been so long. I think 2020 was like for everybody a little bit weird. So,
just like
but
one big like
yeah, I
basically.
think I blacked out. Get it? Blackout again. Is that what the name? Oh, you're citywide blackout.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm blacked it out now. Sorry. Sorry.
She's here all week, folks.
All week, yeah. Anyway, but no, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, definitely.
And I do hope like more people come out today, even though it's raining. I mean, we could use, like I said, a lot more customers. So come on down.
Come on down, folks. Buy some books, especially this one. Okay, it's definitely worth it. So what is next for you? You've had this book out for a little while now.
Since February.
Yeah. So what's next?
Well, I work a full-time job, and so I do want to write another book, which would be more not fictional, but of a serious nature of being scammed. And I really was scammed in real life, but I won't go into that right now. Yeah, I was scammed by a fortune teller, and that's going to be like the next book. But I mean, not to say that they're all bad. It's just one of those things where it really deeply affected my life, and it made my life go in a different direction that I hope. But I'm here for a reason, right?
Exactly.
Meeting you, talking to you.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, MC. So this has been really cool learning about the book and about your work. But where do folks go to learn more about you?
Well, I have a Facebook page. It's called Fried Catfish is the Facebook page. My Facebook is emcee or Maria Madjoucoff. Sorry, and then my Instagram is emcee Madjoucoff on Instagram. And so, but again, to buy the book, it's at Amazon or at Stillwater Books. But you can find me on Facebook.